My review on Hailu's S35 ANC was one of my most watched videos of 2023, and with good reason. They've proven to be a very popular set of budget over-ear headphones, giving good sound, serviceable ANC, decent comfort and call quality, all at a very competitive price. Their newest iteration, the S30, builds on that success, giving you some notable differences in terms of what it offers as a package. In this review, we're going to go through what those differences are, compare them to some of their competition from Edifier, QCY and Soundpeats, and as always we're going to include frequency response measurements, a binaural sound test so you can actually hear what the headphones sound like, real life call samples in a coffee shop and a busy outdoor scene, an active noise cancellation binaural sample so you can hear how effective the ANC is on this model, and a look to see how the S30 interacts with the Hailu app. If you're watching this between the 17th and 27th of March 2024, you can pick the basic version of the S30 up for just $28. I've left a link and a voucher code in the description. And yes, you did hear right, I said basic version. Hailu have released 3 different flavors of this release, giving you a choice of which accessories you'd like included. All 3 versions give you an auxiliary cable, allowing you to take advantage of high-res audio which is only available in wired mode. The standard and pro versions give you a noise cancelling detachable boom mic, which you can only use on the S30 due to its proprietary connector. You're also getting a carry case with the pro version. Sadly, mine wasn't included, so I can't show it you. They come in an impressive outer enclosure that showcases some of their key features, including Bluetooth 5.4 connectivity and up to 43 dB hybrid ANC. And it's these features, along with 360-degree spatial sound effects and increased battery life, that are the main differences between the S30 and the S35. When it comes to design and ergonomics, there are some differences between the two sets, although you will have to look quite closely to notice them. The S30 is here on the left hand side, and a closer look reveals that the space in the ear cup is a little bit wider and higher. The headband at the top is a couple of centimeters longer on the S30 as well, and that's definitely reflected in the clamping force, which is nowhere near as strong on the S30, making it a much more comfortable wear for those of us with larger heads. The jaw ache I got after a few hours use with the S35 has gone completely with the S30. Looking at some other areas improvement over the S35, there's definitely more recoil in the foam padding on the ear cups. The padding is much springier and giving you much more support than the QCY H3 for example, which is really soft by comparison. It's a similar story with the Soundpeats Space, but due to their looser fit it wasn't quite as noticeable. They haven't really done too much to the padding on the headband, but they didn't really need to because it was plenty comfortable already. The headband has a metal sheet on the inside and it gives you quite a bit of extra extension. These minor adjustments may not seem like much, but it makes for a much more comfortable experience, certainly than the S35, and more so than a lot of their competition in that budget headphone category. And unlike some of their competition, the Edifier 820MB Plus for example, you've got a full range of tilt and fold. The build quality anyway was pretty good on this model, certainly for a budget set. If we take another budget model, the Soundpeats Space, they definitely feel a lot less premium than the Hailu offering. You can feel that it just doesn't feel as well produced and well designed as the S30 or the S35. The button configuration is exactly the same as the S35. It's fairly intuitive, everything's on the right cup, and that includes the ability to initiate transparency mode by putting your hand on the touch panel on the outside of the right cup, holding it down, and then immediately you notice that transparency mode kicking in. It also automatically pauses any audio that you've got playing, which is a really useful feature, although it would have been nice to have had the opportunity to switch this off in the app. You can also double tap to activate bass mode, which is also confusingly referred to as spatial audio mode in the marketing material, so whichever one it is, I'm not really sure. You can also triple tap to activate the low latency mode if you're a gamer for example and you want to do some light gaming, then that will definitely help you out. The button scheme gives you full control over everything, and whilst it does take a little bit of getting used to, generally it is quite intuitive. As we mentioned previously, Hailu have included a boom mic with the standard and pro versions of the S30. This will appeal to gamers and those of you who are potentially using these headphones in a home office environment for example. The boom mic has noise cancellation properties,
So we'll be interested to hear in a second how it fares when you introduce some background noise. Here we go. We have some simulated background noise, which is similar to how you can expect if you're using these. You're in a home office environment and maybe you're at home and you've got a partner working at home with you, or you've got the kids making some noise. We'll be interested to hear how it deals with that ambient sound. Now, using a boom mic isn't always practical. And of course, the S30 does have a mic built in. This is how you can expect it to perform when you've got absolute silence. And we've got a few examples of some real life scenarios where you can judge how that mic performs with the introduction of additional environmental sound. So firstly, we're testing the Hailu S30 for outdoor call quality to see how they perform if you need to make or take a call, and perhaps you're on the daily commute, perhaps you're walking to work, school, or college, train station maybe, quite near a train station here, so you might hear the sound of a train in a moment. But generally it's traffic noises, it's the sound of wind, it's the sound of shoppers, pedestrians who are out doing their weekend shopping. This is how you can expect the Hailu S30 to perform on your calls in this kind of scene. And this is how you can expect the Hailu S30 to sound on your calls in a busy indoor scene. I'm in the usual busy coffee shop here in the UK on the weekend. So you've got a mixture of the sounds of people nearby chatting, laughing. You've got baristas making coffee, you've got music coming through the sound system. All the kinds of sounds that will try and infiltrate your voice calls when you're in a busy indoor scene. So hoping for the true representation of how you can expect them to perform.
So as you heard there, a very incremental improvement over the S35. It does tend to handle environmental sound a little bit better, although your voice is slightly softer as well. That can be remedied by using the boom mic, particularly in an indoor scene. So if you're using it for gaming or for home office calls, then that is definitely an improvement over the built-in mic. But as soon as you introduced any ambient sound, it did start to struggle compared to the mic that's built into the cup. One of the other areas of improvement, as we mentioned at the beginning, is active noise cancellation. Now I've got a couple of binaural samples with the S30 versus the S35. I've included the QCY H3 as well, and a couple of others, so you can judge for yourself how useful that ANC is.
Adaptive ANC. Pass-through. Adaptive ANC.
Noise cancellation. Ambient sound. Noise cancellation.
So whilst Hailu claimed that there's a 1 dB increase in active noise cancellation on this model, I think you'd be hard pushed to hear the difference. The uniformity across all frequency ranges is arguably slightly better, although it's difficult to tell from that binaural sample. Both the S30 and the S35 are somewhere in the middle of the pack when it comes to ANC strength, falling a little way behind Edifier's 820NB Plus and QCY's H3, but clearly performing slightly better than the Creative Zen Hybrid Pro, and one that I unfortunately haven't been able to include yet, the Soundpeat Space. Transparency mode is slightly cleaner as well. It was a little bit peaky and not especially effective on the S35, so that is an area of improvement, although again, difficult to tell from the recording. But it does fall behind the S35 in the ability to customize the ANC. It's basically on or off, whereas you've got 3 strength levels on the S35, although to be fair, this was added through a firmware update at a later date, so perhaps we've got that coming on the S30 as well. Both models fall quite a way short of the king of customization, the QCY H3, which gives you loads of manual modes, strength levels, and a dedicated wind noise reduction mode. Whilst that level of customization is impressive, I do feel like it overcomplicates things a bit. For the majority of users, strong ANC, good transparency mode, and a wind noise reduction mode is pretty much all you're going to need. But if you are one of those users that likes to tinker, then the QCY H3 might be a better option. When it comes to the audio and sound signature, the S30 have 3 slightly different profiles depending on whether you're using them with ANC on, ANC off, or in wired mode. They also have that 360 mode or bass mode, whatever they're going to call it. It doesn't change the sound signature, although it does change the sound profile in a kind of weird way. But before we go into that in more detail, let's take a look at the frequency response measurements. As I said previously, there's 3 very distinct sound signatures depending on whether you're using them in wired mode, with ANC on or off. With ANC off, it's that classic V-shaped sort of sound signature with a lot of emphasis in the lower frequencies. Whilst they've tried to eradicate mid-bass bleed with that cut at 300 Hz, you can still hear a little bit of distortion at higher volumes. The default of ANC on is much nicer. It's a cleaner sound with a tucked bass that still gives you a bit of a punchy lower frequency response, and the dips at 300 Hz and 3 kHz contribute to a brighter tonality. In wired mode, where you've got a little bit more bandwidth, the focus is definitely more on the mid bass. It's warmer and more balanced, more musical but less energetic. 360 mode is a little bit of a gimmick. It adds a bit of reverb to the sound, so it could be quite useful for movies, but I suspect most users will try it once and never use it again. As a point of note, you can only activate 360 mode with ANC switched on. When it comes to sound quality as opposed to tuning, i.e. the technical performance and the level of distortion that you get in the lower frequencies, particularly at higher volumes, whether it's QCY, Hailu, Edifier, they all tend to behave around about the same. The bigger difference here is in the tuning, and I suspect the tuning on the S30 is going to be more universally approved than the S35, but I've included some binaural samples here so you can hear how the sound contrasts, firstly between each of those 3 modes, and then against the S35, as well as the H3 from QCY, which is tagged on right at the end. Before we dive into the Hailu app and look at some of those extra features, just a reminder to give the video a like if you found it useful and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your continued engagement helps support the channel and it allows me to buy in more sets of headphones and earbuds, bringing you a wider variety of reviews as a result. The Hailu Sound app is quite simple and easy to use. There's not a great deal to it, but at least it's clean and everything is kind of where you expect it to be. You've got a few different presets, although sadly there's no custom EQ. Hailu have again included a Find My Headset feature, but aside that, the ability to toggle ANC modes and gaming mode, that's pretty much your lot. Battery performance is another big improvement over the S35, and Hailu fare pretty well in comparison to their competition. You're now getting around 80 hours worth of playtime with ANC switched off and around 50 with ANC switched on, and my calculations weren't actually far short of that in real life tests. Other than the Soundpeak Space, the S30 beat their competition by some distance. And remember, you've always got wired mode as well, which allow you to use the headphones without ANC. The quick charge feature here is really useful as well, giving you up to 5 hours worth of additional playtime from just 10 minutes worth of juice. Very handy feature if you don't have too long to charge them. And as with most budget headphones in this category, they do support multi-point connectivity. I had no issues pairing with both Windows or Linux and Android at the same time. Sadly, the Hailu app doesn't show you your active connections. This is an area of improvement I would like to see from Hailu in the future. So overall, I think Hailu have done a great job with this release. Whilst some of the improvements are only small iterations over the S35, their larger profile means that they're going to be much more comfortable with a larger cross-section of users. The sound is a bit cleaner and punchier, and whilst ANC doesn't feel like it's a huge improvement, the battery life certainly is, with the quick charge being a particular highlight. Whilst these improvements are probably not quite enough to justify upgrading from the S35, if you're in the market for a set of budget over-ear headphones with all the latest specifications, then you can do a lot worse than the S30, especially since those Pro and standard versions allow you to basically customize which accessories you want included. Coming up next, I've got reviews of the Soundpeak Space headphones, 2 IEM models from EPZ, a TWS from Rose Technics, and the Baseus AS01. Hold tight as well for my best under $100 TWS comparison video coming up in the next couple of weeks. For now, it's Reagan Cypher signing off.